Hello, my name's Jim Wade. I'm a tax attorney here in Maine, and I help taxpayers resolve their IRS tax debts once and for all. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about IRS tax levies and how to avoid being levied. I've got 3 previous videos about tax levies, what they are, what property they can get at, and how to deal with a levy if you've been either had a wage garnishment or a bank levy. This final episode, we're going to talk about how to avoid levies altogether. So let's get started. So first, you've got to get ahead of the levy. So in the first episode, we talked about the sequences of notices that come out from the IRS that say, hey, you owe us money, do something about it. Don't wait until you get that final notice of intent to levy to do something about it. So what you need to do is have ready on hand, information like the last 6 months of bank statements, what you pay, something showing what you pay for rent, for mortgage, utilities bills, things like that, because that's what the IRS is going to request. And if you have any questions about what you need, you can go online and search for Form 433F. That's 433F. And you can find the instructions on how to fill out the form as well as what information the IRS may request. That's what you're going to need to provide to the IRS within a very short time frame after you contact them saying, hey, look, I want to do something about it. So you're going to have a number on the notice, or you can call 800-829-1040. 800-829-1040. That's the general line to get a hold of the IRS. And when you talk to the IRS, you're going to let them know, hey, I got this bill, I can't pay it now. Otherwise, you would have paid it in full if you had the money. And say, look, I need to work out something with you. Oftentimes, we'll request a 30-day collection hold to get that information together and provide it to them. At that time, the IRS should let you know if there's anything that they need you to do in addition to providing them with this financial information. If you've got missing returns, they'll let you know. If there's some other information that they need, they'll request it at that time. Now, once that's done, you should be able to get off the phone. There should be a collection hold in place, meaning you won't be levied, and you'll have a timeline to provide that information to the IRS. I always try to shoot for 30 days. They may give you more or less than that. So ask for as much as you can, but 30 is about the average. Now, once you're done, you need to make sure that you remain tax compliant because you will not get into a payment plan or some other arrangement with the IRS unless you are in tax compliance. And we'll talk about that in a moment. So once everything's done, you've got that collection information statement, that 433F done, you're going to have to propose a payment alternative to the IRS. They're not going to tell you what to do. It's unfortunate. I guess it's good and bad at the same time, but generally speaking, most people look for the IRS to tell them what to do. They're not going to tell you. When you do the form, if it shows that you have excess money every month after paying your necessary bills, you oftentimes are going to be in a payment agreement. Hey, I can pay this much a month. If that's not going to fully pay it, you may qualify for an offer in compromise where you can settle your tax debt. If it looks like you cannot make any payments to the IRS without being unable to make your necessary payments for rent, for food, for gas, etc., then you may qualify for hardship status, which is sort of a temporary collection hold. But the idea is when you get that done, the documentation should give you an idea what you can do for payment alternatives, and you're going to propose that to the IRS. In another video, I'll go over each one of these in detail so you have an idea of what to request. But you've got to get with the IRS, have your information available to start preparing the documents that the IRS is going to request. Typically what they call a 433F. You're going to ask for 30 days to get this to them, and if they have anything like missing returns, you've got to get those done and provide to the IRS at the same time. Now let's talk compliance though. So for the IRS to enter into some sort of arrangement with you, what they don't want to happen is that while you're dealing with your back taxes, that you accrue new tax liabilities. So they make it a requirement that you are in tax compliance. So if you're self-employed, you need to be making estimated tax payments. If you're employed, if your withholdings are enough to pay your taxes, you got to fix it with a W-4. If you're an employer, you got to be making your payroll tax deposits on time. And for every taxpayer, if you're required to file and pay taxes, you need to file on time and pay on time. And let me clear some misinformation out there. The due date to pay your taxes is April 15th. You can file an extension to file your return, but that does not extend the time to pay any taxes. So when you file in October 15th, the amount that's due there, that was due as of April 15th, and you're going to owe interest and penalties. So that could default your whatever payment arrangement you've entered into with the IRS. So you need to make sure that come April 15th, whether it be through withholdings or estimates, you're paid in full. So keep that in mind. You need to be compliant. Let me emphasize that again. You need to be compliant. I don't know how many clients I've had where we have a plan, it's about to go off with the IRS, no problem, and then they just don't make their estimated tax payments or they fail to make payroll tax deposits. At that point, we're in limbo until it gets fixed. And if it goes on long enough, the IRS could stop the collection hold and then seek to levy. So you don't want to do that. I have had someone come to my office. This is sort of an aside, but it's worth pointing out. I had someone entered into an offer in compromise, settled their tax debt, a significant tax debt at that, for very little. And they did not remain in tax compliance 5 years after the offer was accepted. Bam, all of that comes right back onto them. So now they owe, again, the full taxes plus any interest and penalties that accrued from the date that the offer was accepted. So tax compliance is important. You just don't want it to cause problems in the future. What happens though if you've received that notice of intent to levy and it gives you a very short deadline to do something about it? Usually it's 30 days to respond, otherwise they're going to levy. Well, you can, call the IRS, just like I said before, request a collection hold. But maybe time is short, you don't have everything you need. You can request a collection hearing. They call it a collection due process hearing. That will stop the IRS levies against you. So you'll have some opportunities to work out some payment arrangement with the IRS to get back into compliance and have a plan as to how you're going to resolve this. It's not the only way to do this. There are some other things you can do to stop that levy, even if it's close to the deadline. But this is the most effective because a collection due process hearing will stop collections as long as you do it within 30 days. If you do it after 30 days, you get what they call an equivalent hearing. Often the IRS will not try to levy you during that period, but legally they could. So within those 30 days is best. And that way you have a chance to sort of be protected, work out a plan. If you're missing returns or you're not compliant, get into compliance. You'll have a chance to propose something to the IRS and get it resolved. So even at the last minute, you have some opportunities to avoid being levied. All right, with that, if you have any questions about it, certainly contact us. This is the last episode on tax levies. We're going to move on to another topic, but if you're interested in hearing anything additional about tax levies, more than happy to put something on. And with that, thank you so much for listening and have a great day.